Hey everyone. I'm so proud of myself for continuing my starting early streak. Typically, when I do things, I'm a little bit late, but I guess because I love to do this so much that I show up early and I'm prepared and like I said, I'm excited about it. Wherever you are, hi. I hope that you are well. I hope that Sunday is treating you as positively as possible. If you are watching on YouTube or you are watching on Facebook, put something in the comments. Some places you may be able to see it, Facebook you may not. Just say, hey, hi, how are you? Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what area of the world you find yourself in as we meditate on new beginnings. And it may not be in the way that you think it is. And so we'll have a little discussion prior to entering into meditation, but all of it is meditative. You know, we put so much emphasis on what is meditation? Am I doing it right? How can I do it? How can I do it better? We put so much emphasis on that, and we don't recognize we are always meditating. If you're always focused on something, if you are repetitively doing something, you are in essence meditating. When you are intending to meditate on a particular thing where you are making sure that you're comfortable, you're making sure that you're in a space that there are as little as distractions as possible. I know in this day and age when so much information is coming at us and it's hard to not be distracted, which is why, again, so many people feel challenged in meditating because it requires you to shut down. It's like, I got to shut my phone down. I got to shut the computer down. I got to shut the TV down. I got to shut my family. I have to shut down. And that can be a challenge for many of us. So, wherever you are, say hello. Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling, and we will start to talk about new beginnings, what you think it means for you, what it means in the context of our meditation today. Hopefully, you are in a comfortable environment, whether you are watching live or the replay. Please make sure that your comfort and that the comfort of others is at the forefront of your mind. I forgot I had a candle lit back there, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Have something to drink. Make sure that you stay hydrated. I'm drinking green tea with a little bit of lemon. Maybe you'll have some water or something. If there are restrictive clothing, there's something that feels too tight, loosen it up. So that won't be a distraction. And if at any time during this meditative practice, something is said or something is felt that makes you uncomfortable, I would ask that you come off, maybe revisit it later, and take care of yourself in the way that you know you need to do. Meditation should never, hey Giselle, how are you? Good morning. Meditation should never, ever, ever make you feel uncomfortable. Now, it can raise some stuff up so that you get to a place where you start to deal with particular things. But if in this meditation we start talking about things that feel uncomfortable for you, I want you to take care of you. However, you need to do that as long as you don't harm yourself or harm someone else. And so, happy October 2nd. September wasted no time, came in the door and went right out. Fall has wasted no time. So, we have all of these new things happening all at the same time. And wherever you are in the world, you may be in a different season that we are here in the United States. We are moving into fall. Other places are moving into different seasons. But there is a transition. There has been a transition. Wherever we are at, we are always experiencing something new. And so I said a little bit earlier about a revelation that I had last week about new things happening in my life and also in the life of other people. Sometimes I'm okay with it, but I know that I have this default that gets switched on when I am faced with something new. I will automatically default to this is hard. and I don't want to do it. And I start to avoid doing the things that I think are hard to do. And in my conversation with my business coach last week, we're talking, he's like, am I not giving you good information? Am I not giving you things that are helpful? Am I not? And I'm like, it's not that. It's not that. Like, I don't know why I'm so resistant. And the more that we're talking about things to have in place, the more I'm hearing because it's new and unfamiliar. And you are avoiding something new. It's not hard. And so now that is my mantra. It's not hard, it's new. And when things are new, we have a tendency to want to avoid them because we're not in control. We're questioning our ability and our capability. We don't think we're responsible enough. We come up with all of these reasons as to why this is not going to work, whether it's a interaction with another person, another, experience. When challenging things come up, we default to this is hard, I can't do it, or I don't have enough help. I'm not smart enough, I'm not, educated enough, I don't have the money. Like, we come up with all of these reasons why this thing in front of us is so hard, even if it's something familiar to us that we're experiencing again and again and again. This is hard, this is hard, this is hard. At least that's my experience. I will default to it's hard. And so as I'm talking to my coach, I'm like, wait a minute. None of the things that he has asked me to do are hard. They're new. They're new. And so what I'm really saying to myself is, I'm not in control, and that doesn't feel safe. What I'm really saying to myself is, I've never done this before, so I'm not ready. This is a foreign concept to me, so I don't feel smart enough. And when you avoid something new, you will fall back into the same patterns, the same behaviors, the same choices, and because you're afraid to do something new. And so today, our meditation is going to be opening ourselves up to all that is new, because something new is coming into your life, something new is coming to in your experience, and you are going to have to be new. You're going to have to make different choices, different responses. And sometimes that does not feel safe. But this is how I know that things are really not hard. Because with all of the things that I have experienced in my life, I'm still here. And if I'm still here, then I still have the ability to face things that aren't hard, but that are new. Because surely, if I was supposed to burst into 1,000 pieces and dissolve, I can tell you of some experiences in my life where that should have happened, where I should have fallen apart and never to be repaired again. But by virtue of the grace of God, I am here. And with God, nothing is hard. It's probably new, unfamiliar, you're uncertain about it, and it requires you to be a new thing. And sometimes we're resistant to that. So, to neutralize and combat that resistance, we're going to meditate. And so please find yourself, and as you are coming in, say a little hi, give me a little hi in the chat so that I know where you are. We're on 2 different platforms right now. We're on YouTube and we are on Facebook. And Giselle says, for me, it's also, I've tried this so many times before with no success. Why will it work now? And I'm tired of disappointment. Ma'am, Miss Ma'am, would you believe that that is the main process of my thinking? I'm going to be disappointed. The other shoe is going to drop. And what I have discovered about disappointment is because I went into it with expectations. I went into it with magical thinking. And as you said, you've tried something so many times and it hasn't happened. how about we focus on, am I doing it differently? Am I taking the wisdom that I've learned from all of those times that I've tried and tried and tried with no success? Because I learned something in every single one of those trials. I learned something. And so what we've gathered is it may not be success as we want it to be, but it's wisdom. And so if I gather up all of that wisdom and be willing to do something new and be willing to say, you know what, you're a novice at this. You might need some support. You might need some help. You might need others, because for me, I'm severely independent. And so when I tell myself this is hard, I'll try to figure it out by myself. And perhaps that's not the way this thing is supposed to be handled. Perhaps the new process is I get support. I ask for help. I allow people to love me. I allow myself to be wrong, to fail, to fall down so that I can learn something. And so when I say it's not hard, it's new, I can eliminate a lot of the disappointment by recognizing if it's new to me, I may look like a fool. I may not get it right. I may have to try several times over so that I can master the skill. Because with anything new that is unfamiliar to you, you've got to learn. There may be a process that you have to go through. And we get so frustrated and disappointed with the process sometimes that we tell ourselves, this ain't working. And the whole time we're being built up, strengthened, stretched, we're growing. But we keep saying, well, this ain't successful in the time frame that I want it to be successful. This ain't showing up the way that I want it to show up. And we're missing a whole learning process. And maybe, and I know what's the most frustrating thing when it's something familiar. You going through the same thing with the same person over and over and over again. I'm like, we should be better at this point. Because how many times have we done this dance where we haven't learned the steps, right? Where we haven't learned how to talk to one another. We haven't learned how to love one another. We haven't learned how to support one another. We should be better at this for all of the times, the chances that we've given one another, right? We tell ourselves the outcome should be different. And we don't often give ourselves the opportunity to say, what am I learning through all of this? Am I learning something new? Or do I keep trying to do the same thing and think I'm going to get something different? Maybe the thing that needs to change the most is me, my way of thinking, my way of feeling, and my behavior has to change so drastically that I don't even recognize myself. Maybe God is calling me to be a whole brand new thing, a whole brand new person, but I can't see it in my limited view because I want it to be the way that I want it to be. It's possible. And so as we meditate today, I want us to think about removing those things from our minds that keeps telling us that we're wrong, we're going to be disappointed, this is hard, you're not doing it right. That serves no purpose. And it just gets you more of the same. Let's be open to the possibility that I'm going to see something new that I would not have seen in any other way. There's a gospel song, I can't think of the name of it. Somebody may think of it, but in the song, the gentleman says, God, I want you to blow my mind. Imagine if that's the energy you carried in your heart every single day. I don't know what's going to happen in this day, but I'm trusting that you're going to blow my mind, that I'm not going to be disappointed, that I'm going to see something that I would not have seen in any other context. And I'm ready for it. And so let's get into it. Let's get into our comfortable space. Let's start with taking some deep breaths. If you feel that you want to and desire to close your eyes, then do so. You don't have to look at me. I'm going to keep talking. But if you want to keep your eyes open, I think that's also a wonderful practice. Teaching yourself how to meditate with your eyes open so nobody knows what you're doing. You might be in places and spaces where you need to meditate, but also look like you're paying attention to what's going on. So if you feel led to keep your eyes open, so be it. Just make sure you're comfortable. Make sure that you are breathing at a pace that is comfortable for you. Make sure that you are open to the process, even if you think you're doing something wrong. You're not. Let me alleviate any hint of I'm not meditating correctly. Let's do away with that. You're doing what you know to do for your body, and no one else needs to tell you at this moment what that is. I can offer suggestions, but you are in full control of this process. All I ask is what I offer to be heard, and that is let's take deep breaths. Let's come into this moment. Mm. And when we think about new beginnings, it's not about people, it's not about places, it's not about things. It's about who am I going to be? How am I going to show up in a new way? Mm. And how can I start to do that in this moment? By hearing things differently, seeing things differently, experiencing life in a different way with different skin, with different perspectives and consciousness, where I am trusting myself, where I am ready and willing and able to handle, process, and call in the truth without any criticism, without any blame, without any judgment, because that may be new for some of us to do something without judgment, to do something without criticism, to do something without blaming, to do something without projecting, to just be, to just be okay with where you are right now, whatever it looks like, whatever it smells like, whatever it is in this moment. Tell yourself, I'm okay with this new thing. I'm okay with this new thing. And perhaps the new thing is also recognition of your gifts. So I would like for all of us to start thinking of the gifts that we have. And I'm not talking about your physical attributes, no matter how gifted and lovely you may be, no matter how endowed you may be physically in any particular area. I'm talking about your spiritual gifts, your gift of sight, your gift of hearing, your gift of manifestation, the gift you have and that you've always had that maybe someone else was afraid of or told you to turn that down or don't do that. You have a gift. We all do. And so I would ask that you see that gift in a new light, that it's not a burden, it's nothing to be embarrassed about, and that you don't have to hide it. That during this process, you are allowing it to be fully realized and recognized as something beautiful. I would also offer that as we continue to breathe, we think about just how talented and wonderful we are. Out of all of the billions of people on this planet, people seek you out for your particular gifts and talents. They may not appreciate it, they may not always be gracious and thankful. They come to you for particular things. Maybe you are a great caregiver, maybe you are a great listener, maybe you are a provider of good, juicy hugs. Maybe it's the softness in your voice or the stern way in which you give advice. There's some talent, some gift that you have. You are a resource to others. Perhaps it's time for you to use that resource in a new way. Perhaps you are being called to no longer be limited in your gifts, in your talents, and in your resources, in the way that you utilize them in the world. And maybe you're afraid. People are going to call you weird. What is she doing? What is he doing? In this right now moment, let's take an inhale and an exhale and fully say, I am comfortable with the newness of my gift and how I use it in the world. As long as I am honoring myself and honoring others, as long as I am not harming anyone, let me live in my gifts richly and fully so that I don't have limited experiences of who I am. Because each of us, with these unique gifts that we have been given, that cannot be found anywhere else on the planet, you cannot be replicated. Let's honor that in this moment as we are thinking and calling in new behavior, because new experiences are going to call for you to be new, to be different, to not fall back into the same patterns, to not fall back into the same habits, to not fall back into the comfortable way that you have been doing things. New choices are going to be required. And even though you are a master at being you, you've never done this thing before in this way. And so there may be a period where you falter, but you're not failing. You're learning. It's part of the process, just like a newborn calf coming out of the womb and having to learn how to walk. You in your gift, in the way that you are operating in a different level, is going to come with some regulation. I am grateful for that. There is a reason why many of us feel depleted and out of sorts. It's because the gifts that we have, we're not using them in a new way. We tapped out. People have been coming to our well and drinking, 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 and now we are tapped out. That means you have to do something new. Are you going to be afraid? You better be. And you still can do it anyway. A lot of us are depressed and feeling out of sorts because the gifts that we have within us are not being delivered in the way that they are intended to be delivered. And it can feel stifling and confusing. This world needs your gift and the way that you deliver it. Please don't let that magic live within you and not be expressed outwardly. Oh, and so let's continue to breathe, because that revelation of newness in your body can feel unsettling, which is why we avoid it, because it doesn't feel safe, because we've been programmed to keep ourselves safe, even if that means limit your gifts, limit your resources, limit the way you love, limit the way you express yourself. As long as you're safe, that's not safe. That's not safe. What's safe is you showing up as your authentic self, being willing to be wrong. And so, as we are meditating on this new beginning, it's not about the new people, the new job, the new experience. It's about you being a new thing, a new version of you, because the old version is tired and expired, and has done everything that it was supposed to do to get you to this point so that you could do something new. The way you speak, the way you see things, the way you hear things, all of it brand new. You will not even recognize yourself. And that can feel scary, particularly when you've gotten so comfortable. You know, we get comfortable. We're like, this is familiar, this is comfortable. Let me stay right here. That's not how life works. That's not how any of this works. We are here to continuously evolve. We can now no longer remain stagnant, not with all that we have seen. And so as we continue to breathe, start think about those things in your life, those choices you've been making, the patterns and the behaviors that you seem to be in, the cycles. You keep seeing the same people, having the same conversations, experiencing the same heartbreak, the same disappointment, Giselle, right? It's the same thing over and over. New month, old stuff. It's time to do something new. And so I want all of us to think about all of the different things that may be necessary and new and needed for a new process. Now, lots of us want directions. We pray to God, we say, God, tell me what to do. And we want the directions to be handed to us on paper so we can follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not how this works. So let's take a deep breath and let you create the things that are necessary for you. That's where trusting yourself comes in. So let's start there. I have to trust myself. I have to trust that I'm smart enough, wise enough, that I'm surrounding myself in the right environment to grow. I have to trust that the choices that I'm making, even though they are different and other people may question them, I got to trust that I know what I'm doing for my spirit and for my soul. And nobody else has to agree with it because it's mine. So you have to trust. So take a deep breath and call in all of the trust that you know you are going to have to generate it. Pull it from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head because you're going to need every cell in your body in one accord to trust that the new choices that you are making in your life is what is necessary. You have to trust yourself. You got to quiet those outside voices and influences. You know, the things that we're seeing all day where we're like, well, that looked nice. I would like to have that. And that looks nice. All that, shut it down. Start trusting yourself. You know what you need. You've always known. If you didn't, you would have fell apart a long time ago. And even if you battered and bruised and scarred up, you still here. Trust that you can draw from that wisdom that brought you to this right now moment is going to carry you through this new beginning, this new way of being. And so, if you need to imagine that there is a container of trust in front of you that is overflowing with the wisdom of all of the experiences that you have gathered up in your lifetime and beyond, then do so because you're going to need it. And you are faced with questions and choices, you're going to have to draw from within and be very clear and be very certain. And so let's make sure that we are focusing on trusting, not just trusting, but I mean trust in a way that no one can tell you any different. You feel it energetically in your body. This is the right thing for me to do. And even if the end result does not look the way you thought it was going to look, you haven't made a horrible decision. You either learning or you winning. Those are the only two options. There is no failure. There's learning, there's wisdom. You didn't get to this point without gathering up some wisdom. So trust yourself. Trust yourself. Breathe that into your being and say, this is new. And ask the God of your understanding, show me what I need to see so that I trust myself and thereby trust you. That this thing is new, it's unfamiliar, but I'm trusting that I'm going to be safe. I'm trusting that I am ready. because it would not have been called into my experience if I wasn't ready. So I'm trusting that I'm ready. I'm trusting that the time is now. I'm trusting that the resources that I will need are going to be available to me, because you can't believe the universe is going to have you out on Front Street without giving you what you need. So you have to trust. Trust in those spiritual gifts that you have, that discernment and that intuition. Trust it. Don't get caught up in, yeah, well, I made a mistake. We all have, and we learn from it. So take a deep breath and center yourself. And I'm going to trust myself in this new thing. Trust that you might trip. Trust that you might scratch yourself up. You might get beat up. Trust it. It might happen. It may happen. But if you remain stagnant, if you don't grow, if you don't stretch, let's take a deep breath and say that I'm going to start trusting myself more and more and more and more. I'm trying to make sure that everyone is okay as people are coming in at different times. I want to make sure that we are all okay. Well, we're on trust right now, right? We're trusting. We are trusting ourselves. We are trusting this new thing that we have been called to do. And so as we are the new thing. It's not the people, it's not the things, it's not the places. We are new. Every day you get the opportunity to be new, to be different, to say, you know what, today is the day that I stop doing that thing because it's played out, been there, done that, and I'm ready for a new experience. So I have to be new. The way I'm speaking, the way I'm seeing things, the way I'm hearing things, the way I show up, my boundaries, everything about me, new, 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 new. And I'm scared, but I'm still going to be new. We also have to call in faith. You can't have trust without faith. And although we are human and we love evidence, not just because everyone is, watching CSI, we love evidence. We love to prove that we are in the right place. Sometimes you're just going to have to trust and have faith that where you are at all times is where you are supposed to be, even if it is challenging. Sometimes we get so ready to abandon ship because we think this can't be it. This can't be the right place for me to be. I can't be around the right people. What's going on? Your trust and your faith have to go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Trust, truth, and faith. And so if you need to envision right now, every cell in your body is lining up to wash away that need and that desire to be nosy, to know what it's going to look like, who's going to show up, how's it going to be, is it going to be hard, what is it going to, just have faith that you don't know everything. Because it is possible to know everything and know nothing at the same time. Just have faith. Because didn't you make it here October 2nd? What is it? 1:33 in the PM. You've made it this far. Continue to hold on to the faith that is going to be required to take you further into something new. You can't waffle. You can't flip-flop. You got to stand sturdy in that faith and trust yourself and trust the God of your understanding. And so breathe that into your being. That these spiritual gifts that I have, that I may not have been practicing or pouring into, but I'm aware now because I'm trusting myself. That thing that everybody said, oh, you weird, don't do that. Oh, I don't believe you know what you're talking about. You believe you. You believe in you. You trust you. You have faith in you. No matter what it looks like to anybody else, you're going to have that for this new thing, for this new way of being, this new way of being, seeing, hearing, speaking, walking, your walk is going to look so different. The people you surround yourself with are going to be different. Not necessarily the actual people. I'm not saying you're going to be abandoning your family or friends. You might have to, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying the way you engage with these people will be different and new. So you have to have faith so that you don't fall back into the same patterns, same cycles, same choices, same behavior, and getting disappointed and frustrated why things are the way they are. So we've got trust, we've got truth, we've got faith. We need discipline, y'all. So let's breathe that into our being and understand that discipline and punishment are two different things. I've said that in this space before. We're not talking about punishment, we're talking about discipline, which looks like focus, commitment, consistency, and a willingness to say, yeah, I like to do that thing, but it's a distraction right now. So I'm disciplining myself. I'm going to discipline myself to say no when I need to, and yes when I need to. Sometimes we're afraid to say yes, and we're so quick to say no. And sometimes we're afraid to say no, and we're so quick to say yes. That is where we have to use our discernment. What is the most disciplined choice for me? As I do this new thing, if I keep on doing the old stuff, it's going to keep me from doing the new stuff. So let me get disciplined with my focus, my intention, my commitment to me, and my consistent behavior. Let me put some order in my life. Let me put some divine order in my life. Let me clear out the things that have been getting in the way because I need discipline. And so we've got truth, we've got faith, we've got discipline. And you know in your heart of hearts what it is that you need. So call it in and visualize that thing being sprinkled over every cell in your body as you awaken to this new you. And instead of saying, well, I can't do that, you can start to begin to say, I'm doing something new. And that requires me to do something different. So even your no sounds sexy. Oh, I'm on something new. So I'm doing something different. Take deep breaths. And maybe the fear that comes along with doing something new, saying no to particular things, saying yes to sometimes saying yes to those things that seem like a risk, and you know that fear is there, continue to breathe into it. Acknowledge that it's there. You know, we keep calling for ourselves to evolve. It's afraid, it's fearful. It's new territory that's unfamiliar to me. I don't know if there's some risk. I don't know if there's something that's going to harm me. I don't know if I'm going to wind up disappointed again. All of those things could happen. But you know it's already happening now that you're disappointed, that you're in cycles and choices and behaviors that you don't want to be in. But if you are listening to this meditation and all is well in your world, and maybe I'm not talking to you, I'm talking and specifically speaking to those of us who have said, I recognize the old me no longer works the way I desire to work. That I have to do things in my life in a different way. I recognize I'm being called higher. And it's not that I am better than anybody else or less than. I'm recognizing who I am. And I can't pretend to be anything else any longer. And so we have trust, we have faith, we got discipline. Please give yourself grace. We don't give ourselves enough grace. It's new. We want to be the master at the beginning, and we don't want to wait. and go through the process. Take a deep breath and recognize the places in your life where you have not been giving yourself grace. The places where you have been so hard on yourself that you're holding yourself to standards that no one should be held to. And I know that's me. The places where you have just been feeling so defeated and so hard and so rough, where you are isolating yourself, separating yourself, punishing yourself for no good reason. Please let us give ourselves some grace, because certainly if grace is something that God desires to give to me, then please let me give it to myself. I thank God for grace, where I don't have to meet some particular standard or level of perfection in order to receive love. And so many of us think, well, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough. Well, let me wait until things are the way that I want them to be before I get my blessing. How many of us have had that drilled into our heads at an early age, that your suffering here on earth may be greater so that you earn a reward in heaven? I want my stuff now. And all of that is, you know, y'all want to wait for your blessings, then so be it. I am growing into mine right now. And I'm giving myself grace. I'm giving myself grace that I may not do it at the pace that I would like right now. And that I may not figure it out in the time frame that somebody else thinks that I should figure it out. But along the way, I'm not going to beat myself up. That's what I'm not going to do. And that's what we cannot do, is we are learning to do something new. I'm not waiting for nothing. I'm going to be patient, but I'm going to acknowledge the blessings as they are present in my life now. And I'm not going to feel like I got to sacrifice my happiness in order to receive anything. Now, I might come out of the meditation for a little bit to say, let me tell you something. Anybody in my life, you think that I got to put up with a bunch of nonsense just so that I can get a reward later? No, absolutely not. And that is a new thing. Okay, let's go back to meditating. I need everyone to affirm that they are not going to be suffering so someone else can provide you with something once they determine whether you're deserving of receiving it. No. I have faith, I have trust, I have discipline, and I have grace. What I don't have is foolishness. And that might be something new for us, that we recognize that we have already met the standard, we have already met the requirement right as we are. You don't have to change to be or receive anything that you are deserving of. And like right now, I am deserving of love right now, and I don't have to do any particular thing to meet someone else's definition of worthy of being loved. Now, there are some things that I know that I'm doing new, but that's for me. That's not for anybody's approval. That's not so anybody will let me in their club, open up the door. I can open those doors myself when I start doing things in a new way. So let's take a breath on that. That as we are, with the grace that God has already provided for me, I don't need to wait for you to do it. I am giving it to myself. That is a new thing. And even as I say that, I also recognize that one of the things that I will need in this new way of being is flexibility. Woo! Open up your mind and open up your heart. You think you've seen it all. I think that's one of the reasons why, look, I can't even spell, y'all. I think that's one of the reasons why The past couple of years have hit us so hard because we had to be flexible in ways that we hadn't been. And that is a requirement when you're doing something new, being flexible. You might bend, but you don't have to necessarily break. But you have to remain open to the possibility that because you are doing something new, what you are experiencing, you've never experienced before. And you might be uncomfortable. And you might look like a fool. And and you also might be exactly and wind up exactly where you wanted to be all along. All of those things are possible when you keep your mind open and remain flexible. If something becomes available to you, but you're like, I never had it this way before, well, be open to the possibility of receiving something new in a new way. All of the calls for us to be more fluid in the way we see the world, it's not by accident. Because universal law is flexible, it's fluid, it moves, it bends. You can't do that if it remains stagnant and closed and limited. And so, this new you that you are acquiring and creating and crafting and cultivating is going to require a level of flexibility to go beyond your perceived limitations. What you thought you were, you are no longer. Exceed your own limitations. You praying for a little bit, and you need to be praying for a lot. We also have been programmed to just take your portion. Universe is abundant. There's more than enough for anybody. Don't get caught up in that thinking of limited resources. It's a lie. Trust that whatever you are asking for in this new way of being is available to you, because how are you praying for something but you don't really believe that you could get it? You're like, well, I really want 10, but I take 5. Why? If you want 10, ask for 20. And know that it will be available to you, because I know in my life experience, my mind has been blown, but by what God has been able to offer and provide for me, exceeding my limitations. And I recognize that new Yolanda has got to think beyond the limitations of old Yolanda. I can't do it. It doesn't work for any of us. So take a deep breath and tell yourself, I'm going to go beyond my own limitations. Don't think about your age. Don't think about your race. Don't think about your gender. Don't think about what's in your bank account. Exceed those limitations. For this new you are becoming. It's possible if you believe it. If you have the trust, if you have the faith, the discipline, the grace, the flexibility. Listen, you want 100, I want 1,000, and keep going, and on and on and on and on. Without limit. We've been shown how to shrink. Show yourself how to exceed the limitations you've painted for yourself. And know you deserve it. Know you deserve it. Oh, I'll just take one. No, give it all to me. And then if I have so much, then that just means I got more to share. But if I am limited in receiving, then the people that I love and want to share things with, they get in a limited portion too. I want more than enough for all of us so we can all share abundantly. All right, let's take a deep breath. So we've got flexibility, we've got faith, we've got discipline. And sometimes, based upon programming, we think it's too much to ask for peace. That should have been the first thing. I need peace in my life. If anything, any man, any woman, any child, even the people I gave birth to, if you disturbing my peace, not possible. Now I can be flexible. I can put up with a lot of things. I can't put up with people who are intent on disrupting and disturbing my peace. It's way too much. It's too precious for me to give it up because I know what it feels like to live without it. I'm not doing it. And so imagine that you have all of these containers in front of you. There's a container of peace, there's a container of flexibility, there's a container of grace and faith and truth and trust. All of these things are available to you right now, not when you get something else. It's here right now in abundance. It requires you to do something new to partake of it. Those spiritual gifts that we talked about, that you know that you have, how often are you stepping inside of them and utilizing those gifts to the best of your ability, no matter what it looks like to anybody else, to say, I am creating peace, I am flexible, I am creating grace, I am creating discipline, I am creating faith, I am creating trust for myself and operating from my spiritual gifts. I'm taking everything that has been provided abundantly so that my choices, my patterns, my behavior, you're not even going to recognize who you're dealing with. You won't even know me. I have a saying on my board that you might want to get to know me now before you don't recognize me later. You might want to get to know me now because you may not recognize me later. After this transformation takes place in my life, I'm not even going to recognize me. All of this wisdom that I have acquired has not just been for me to gather up some stuff. It's for me to use to the best of my ability, for me to honor what God has given me in abundance, given me the ability to tell the truth no matter what. I don't have to blame you, judge you. I don't have to hold you hostage. And you don't have to do that to me because I see the truth. I don't have to continuously look for people to validate me because I already know who I am. I don't have to consistently go through the same cycle over and over, waiting for the other shoe to drop because I done moved on to something else. Because I'm not afraid of doing something different, of doing something new, because that is what we are here for. Newness, anytime you create something new, you unify something. And that's trust that this is supposed to be, faith that this will be, and all of those other things that we just created and crafted. That's unifying all of those things: the flexibility, the grace, the peace, the faith, the discipline, the trust, all of those things that are required and then some, because I know you've got some attributes of your own. And if you want to share in the comments what you know you need for this new thing that you are doing in your life so that we can all affirm it. I know I need more healing. I know I need more honesty. I know I need more love. I need more vulnerability. There's so many things that I know that I'm going to have to engage in as I blossom into this new version of me. And I already know that I deserve it. And I already know it's possible. And what I continuously tell myself, anytime something comes up, this is not hard, this is new. And if it's new, There's some things I'm going to need. Let me get about the business of creating those new things in my life so I can stop saying it's hard, it's challenging, nobody's helping me. Nothing is hard with God. Nothing. Nothing is hard, too hard, or you can't figure it out. You might be needing to do something new. That old stuff is no longer working. That box that you have placed yourself, you've exceeded it. You bursting out of that box, you're bursting beyond the limitations that may have been set for you by others or you have engaged in. The origin of it, we can discover where the origin is, so we can pull it up from the root. However, the fact remains, you have exceeded those limitations, my dear. And now it's time for you to do something new. Breathe that in. Discipline yourself every single morning. I'm new today. This version of me today is not the version that I need for tomorrow, and so on and so forth. And I'm going through the process of eliminating particular things and calling things in at the same time. It's a lot, but it would not have been laid at your feet if it wasn't for you. It would not be in your consciousness if it wasn't for you. So you have to trust. If this thing that just keeps living in me, it's literally living in you. And if it's living in you, it's yours. And it's time that you operate from that space. I never know how what we say in this space and how it's going to go. Sometimes it's a meditation. Sometimes I'm yelling at y'all. Sometimes I'm probably yelling at myself, more than likely, because I need to hear it. And I know that if it's me, it's not me alone. And so, yeah, you're afraid to do that thing. You're afraid to say that thing. You're afraid to operate. You don't know where to start. All of those things are valid. And I do not want to diminish anyone's experience of, you make it sound so easy. I ain't never said, not one time have I said on this call that any of it was easy. It's not. And that's why we tell ourselves it's hard. But the opposite of hard or easy, don't look at it that way. Look at it as new, unfamiliar, right? And requiring me to handle this thing differently. It is in you. It is in each and every single one of us, has been there before we took breath on this plane. It's been there and it ain't going nowhere. And a lot of us do a lot of things to try to numb it. Well, let me pay attention to this. Let me be a blessing in someone else's life and let them get to where they need to go. Let me pour into everybody else on the hopes that they pour into me. Let me make sure everybody else is good and great and I leave myself last. Stop doing it. Do something different. Doesn't mean that you're not loving. It means that you are at your most loving when you are loving yourself, and then you have the ability to love in a different way to other people. And you never know, by you having your hands in somebody else's stuff, how you're disrupting them doing something new. They may not ever learn how to do things for themselves if you keep saving everybody. Put your cape away and use it for yourself. And I am so excited. I say this every morning. For those of you who don't know, I do a morning call every morning, 7:30 on Clubhouse. And every day I'm like, I'm so excited for us. I'm so excited to see what we will give birth to, how different we all are going to be. Because here's the other thing, it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Willingly or unwillingly, you're going to be different, you're going to be new. I would like to be a willing participant in me being new. I don't want to be so resistant to being new that now my back hurt, my knees hurt. And the new me that you see is somebody that needs somebody else to take care of them because I was too afraid to take care of myself. That's not the new version of Yolanda that I want to see. So I want to be a willing participant in my evolution. And by saying that, I know I have to be a full participant in my spiritual gifts. I can't, we can't be out here dimming our light. We just can't. We need it too much. We need more light in the world. And we can't have the light in the world if everybody is dimming their light. And so every morning I'm like, I'm just I'm excited to see what versions of us we get. Because I'm seeing some versions of people who have gone through a pandemic for 2 years and now they real different. And I'm like, woo, that's what you brought out of the pandemic? Yikes. I want to be so new that I look back on pictures and be like, I remember she was always overthinking, giving of her time to places and spaces where she shouldn't have been. I remember that girl. Thank God for deliverance and that she is a new thing and she is a new being. I'm excited for all of us. It is living in you. It is. It absolutely is. Sometimes it keeps you up at night. Sometimes the physical manifestations that we call illness or disordered, it's that thing in you that's been trying to get your attention and you've been dismissing it or diminishing it, and now it's an illness. Now it's a sickness. Now it's a disorder because you're denying that thing from living in you. Let it breathe. Let it live. Who cares what it looks like to other people? You're going to find your people. Maybe if you start operating from your gift, you will eliminate the people who ain't supposed to be in your life anyway, because they might get so afraid of what it is or how powerful you are. They'd be like, oh, that's too much for me. Thank you. Whatever you have to do, make sure that you are employing the trust, the discipline, the faith, the grace, the flexibility, the peace. Make sure that there is a practice in your life that provides a foundation for you to allow your spiritual gifts to be developed. Make sure you are praying. Make sure you are meditating, journaling, quiet, be still, whatever it takes for you to be so in tune with you that you can tune all the noise out so that you develop this new way of being. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you as you are. It just means life is constantly improving on itself and growing. You're no different. You are no different. Just as everything in nature right now is going through a transition and a change, you are no different. And so I offer that whatever those things are that you need to employ in your life right now, by any means necessary, please do so. Please do so. I love our Sunday times. I don't always know what it's going to look like, but I'm trusting that it will be of benefit. And I'm so grateful for your participation. Now, what I said last time and what I'm going to say this time, I hope to be fully realized by next Sunday. I would love the opportunity to have individuals join me in this space so that we can have a full discussion. I know that we talk in the chat, but when you have other voices, other perspectives, as long as you are honoring and you don't come up here talking about your, horrible relationships with people. We don't want anybody's business being told in this space. But as long as you are open to having a discussion about things in your life that you have experienced that have been beneficial to your healing. This is not about us selling stuff. This is not about us saying, here, buy my course. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, similar to what we do in the morning, we've been reading all about love this whole year. We are on chapter 10. And then we talk about it. I read one paragraph. This is how slow we've been. I read 1 to 2 paragraphs a morning, Monday through Friday, and we talk about it. I don't know in the history of anything has it taken someone a whole year to read a book, but when I say we are dissecting this thing piece by piece, that's what we're doing. Tomorrow we start the chapter on romance. What are you talking about? It took us 10 months to get to romance because that's how expansive love is. And so, what has been helpful in that space is other people talking about their experiences so that other people can have their aha moments like, okay, it's not just me. I see that perspective. And I would like to do more of that in this space. So, if you are interested, send me an email. I'm going to be coming out with a list of topics. And if you see a topic that interests you or you have some insight in, then perhaps you can join me on here on a Sunday and we can talk about it. I would love to do that. I'm absolutely grateful for your participation, whether you are watching live or doing the replay. If there's anything that I can do to support you in your healing, please let me know. I'll have some announcements some other time about things that are going on with me and Evolving Spirit Wellness. I am so grateful to be in the position that I'm in. I am so grateful to be able to say that in my life, I now know things are not hard. They may be new and unfamiliar, but I have all that I need to meet those new challenges because there is nothing too hard for God. So why would I ever adopt that phrasing in my life? Things are not hard. They're new and unfamiliar, and I'm more than willing. And I've got the best co creator that I could have to meet any challenge in my life. And I hope that you know the same is true for you. I absolutely love y'all. And I hope that you have an amazing rest of your Sunday. And if you have found this to be of value, please share it with someone that you think may be of benefit. And we'll be back here next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Lord willing, thank you so much. And thank you so much for your participation. You have no idea how what you say supports me and supports others who are listening. And for that, I thank you. Have a good one, y'all.